Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Teacher Martha. I am happy that we are continuing well, even with the analysis of the set books that we have. And feel most welcome. And even as we go ahead, I want to remind those who are new, who are new here, that you can look up to the other videos that we've done concerning the Father of Nations, a complete analysis of the chapters and themes and styles and characterization. I encourage you to have a look at them. And so this time we want to begin off a series on the optional text that we have, that is the Parliament of Owls. Okay, that word is supposed to be owls. The problem with our mother tongue interfering, or is it English interfering with our mother tongue? We grew up calling them owls, but ideally that word is supposed to be pronounced as owls. And you can see on your screen the right pronunciation. And also that word is not parliament, as we grew up calling it parliament. It is not parliament, it is parliament. The I is silent, it's parliament. And as you can see the transcription on your screen. And so therefore this is the book we'll be looking at in the next few series by the author, the playwright, those who write plays, they are called playwrights. The texts, the novels are called authors. So the playwright here is Adipo Sidang, is the playwright of this very wonderful and very awesome text. And I want to hope that you can join me in going through it, and I'm hoping that you can enjoy it. Remember, we say that literature is very beautiful. No wonder we are here at Beautiful Literature. I'm hoping that as we do this text, you will enjoy it, and that you will have a better understanding. I'm hoping that your teachers in school have also taken you through the same, and even you will add more from here. Let me hear what you think about whatever it is that I'm sharing. Remember, nobody has a monopoly of information. Nobody is 100%. As literature is concerned, it's so broad and it's not subjective. I mean, whatever I am saying could actually be different for you. You could be looking at it differently, and feel free to challenge whatever it is that I share on this platform. I don't claim to know everything. I'll be glad to hear your divergent opinion. I'll be glad to hear you challenging what I present here and saying, Mwalimu, I think, you give your different opinion. I love that, because literature is supposed to be that. Let's engage. Let's hear what you think. And therefore, I want to just begin by highlighting on what it is we have in this book. And then after that, we will be looking at act after act. And those who followed up on the Fathers of Nations, you know that we first of all went through the plot for every chapter, and then we did the themes separately, the style separately, and the characterization. On this one, I would want to do it a little bit differently. I would want to deal with act after act, but then before I move on to the next act, we discuss a little bit on the themes that are there, the styles that are probably there, and the characters that are there. Even if we may not deal with it comprehensively, but just in mention. As I carry on, I will keep mentioning that, because a play is different from the novel. And so kindly just move along with me and follow through, so that along the way you're able to pick on the styles and the themes that are coming across, because I will be highlighting those things along the way, unlike what we did with the Fathers of Nations. And so therefore, let's begin with this text and ask ourselves, what is this text about? Let's first of all just look at the synopsis. Let's look at the cover, let's look at the title, and so on, and before we move into the act. And I want to begin by saying that owls, in fact, I learned the other day, to be very, very honest, that a group of owls, the collective noun for owls is parliament. I didn't know. I don't even know what I was thinking about it. But I realized that a group of owls, just like we have cattle. A collective noun for cattle is a herd of cattle, a flock of sheep, and all that. So owls, when they are together, many of them, they are called the Parliament of Owls. So does that help with the title? Because now that tells us as we talk about, we're not dealing with one owl, we are dealing with a group of them. And what does that have to do with our literal, our lives and interpretation of that? Remember, literature is the mirror of the society. We would want to bring that even as we look at the setting of this book. So let me begin with that title, and I'm hoping that whatever it is we are looking at, therefore, even our normal understanding of parliament, if as we carry on with this text, you will come across a situation where we, in our August houses, we know situations where our members of parliament sit in those houses, and they pass laws, and they come up with policies that govern the whole country and govern the people. Even our county assemblies, they are also in their own right, can also be considered as this. And so this title is so relevant in the sense that it actually reflects the political. It's a political text that actually talks about the author, I mean the members of this society. Of course, it's the bad kingdom, but remember that it's just a comparison of the real life that we are having. Every time when you talk about the birds, please try to move your mind from the birds into real life. When you're thinking about the members of parliament in parliament, move your mind from the owls and take your mind into a Kenyan situation, in an African situation, because this text is not about owls, it's not about birds, it's about real human beings. It's about real issues that affect you and I, issues that affect the members of your family. That is what we are talking about in this book. When the playwright chose to use animals, of course we know why an author or a playwright will decide to use animals instead of real people, and I think we've done that in other areas of oral literature. But in this case, therefore, I want to ask you, as we begin, move your mind from the owls and the birds and all that, and bring your mind, whatever it is, themes you are looking at, look at it from a human perspective. Let these experiences be human, because that way you'll be able to enjoy the text more. And so therefore we expect that we will come across a group of owls, and especially the ones that are in power, in position of leadership, in position of making policies, making laws, because that is what parliament is all about, and so on. And so when you hear me saying owls, please at the back of your mind hear owls. Yeah, when sometimes because of what I'm used to, I will call them owls once in a while, but no, that is supposed to be owls. So you'll forgive my old mind, it's refusing to accept the owls, but the pronunciation is supposed to be owls. Now let's have a look at the cover. I am hoping that you've been able to analyze the cover, and what do you find in this cover? Now, one is that we have 3 owls. One of them is bigger than the other 2. And we know from this text that we have one owl that is bigger than all the others, more supreme, more superior than any other. And we are calling it the Tula, we are calling it King Tula Nyongoro. That is the king, the royal owl. It is the one that is more of the president, you know, the leader, their main leader is the one, I want to imagine is the one in the middle. And then we have 2 others on the side, and they look like they're almost the same size. And as you carry on, you realize there are 2 owls that are very, very powerful. Apart from the king, and we have money bags, we also have the red string. They feel like they are the second in command, or the third in command. They are the ones that call the shots on many things. If you don't hear the king, you'll hear Moneybags talking, you'll hear the red string and all that. And I want to think that those 3 birds, they are representation of that. And so you can also see that other smaller birds, we have other smaller birds, orange in color. Is this orange? I hope so. I don't know whether that's orange, and also white. And it's also, that also is a representation of the other birds. That this kingdom we are talking about, it's not just about the owls. We also have smaller birds in there. Day birds, if you look at the text, you're talking about the day birds and the night birds. It's also important to mention, when you look at it deeply, you realize that the setting is on a dark setting. It's not on broad daylight where there is sunset and sunrise. Unlike in Samaritan, where the cover is different. Here we are dealing with night. Maybe because owls operate more at night, but ideally it's because the black black cover, the black color in the cover, it's a representation of the dark themes that are in this text. There is so much darkness, there is so much injustice, there is so much pain, there is so much suffering and injustices that are going on. And so the darkness itself, it's not a sunrise or a sunset. We just see a lot of darkness. But just to mention on that, there is you can see very closely, you'll see trees from a distance. And so this is happening in a forest. You can see the setting sort of, it's set in a forest setup. And so the cover is quick to pick that up. And just maybe before we wind up on that, on this extreme end, you realize there is a moon. There's a moon that is somewhere here. And this moon is important. We can't just ignore that. The author didn't just put the moon for no reason. He put a moon because a moon is a show of light. It's a source of light that when the moon is out, of course, the darkness flees away, the darkness goes away. And that therefore, we are actually being shown that that in the middle of this darkness, in the middle of this evil, in the middle of the heaviness that is there, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Up there, so far away, there's some light that will come on and probably will shine, and the darkness will flee away. And when you look at that, therefore, it's optimism, some sense of hope, that even if it's so dark right now, we can't even see the forest very well, there is some light somewhere. And I don't know whether there is something else that you saw in the text, in the cover, that I haven't mentioned. I would love to hear it. So please kindly share with us what you think about the cover. And again, as you talk about the setting, you of course, you know, this is a Kenyan, Adibo is a Kenyan. And of course, if the country where the author is coming from is a reflection, mostly the setting is in that country. And of course, the greater African setting. And because the leadership issues that are being raised here, the governance issues that are being raised, even when you're looking at the Father of Nations, you realize they are global issues. They are issues that are happening all over the Africa. I mean, even when you look at the Samaritan, there's the same thing. It's not just a Kenyan issue. It's not just an African issue. It's actually a global issue. That even beyond the borders of Africa, there is still so much that is going on. The issues are the same. And I think it's a very sad state of affairs. And so therefore, the setting, we can talk about being Kenyan or African, but of course we have the bird kingdom as it is put literally, but we know that the deeper meaning has so much to do with the Kenyan kingdom and African Kenyan situation or an African situation and so on. And so I want to stop that at that point. But before maybe we move on to the next act, allow me to just mention briefly just the synopsis. What is this text about? I'll not even go into mentioning of the names and all that, but just to mention that this text is satirical in nature. Remember, we're talking about the styles used, satire, where the author, the playwright, decides to criticize, to ridicule, to correct, and to bring to the fore the evils that are in the society, and they need to be worked on, they need to be checked, so that we as the readers also, we ensure that we don't repeat the same. And so therefore we have a situation where the playwright decides that he will paint the leadership that we see here, moneybags and royal oil and red string and all the other strings, and in a way that is very dictatorial, and a lot of injustice, and even a lot of killings are going on, a lot of violence and political assassinations. And so when the text opens with a very sad note, where we have a bird who is complaining about the killing of the other birds, that because they raised their voice, they were killed. And of course, there is conversation going on there. And by the end of the day, we are taken into Parliament, where they passed the Moonlight Law, which is against the welfare of the other birds, day birds and night birds, but it's only benefiting a few people. And of course, people are bullied into passing that into law, and those who are trying to object, they are thrown out, and so on. And so when we look at this text, of course, we are looking at manipulation, intimidation, especially from the political class. And I want to think, as we do this, I'm hoping that at the back of our minds, we are able to bring that into a Kenyan situation. The things we are seeing in this text, do we have examples of things that are happening out there? And it's important for us to be able to see that. And as we carry on, you'll be able to see a revolt that is coming up. Even when they're in parliament, there's demonstrations out there. Birds are demonstrating. They do not want the moonlight bill. And of course, now Moneybags is here saying that will not allow them to demonstrate and defile this royal parliament, this royal house. And of course, they start to plan towards the same. And there's so much that is going under to punish the people who are supporting the people who are funding and mobilizing and inciting these demonstrations. And by the end of the day, we also are able to see that on top in these rebels, I mean in this owls kingdom, birds, they are rebels. They are those that do not support the owls because they would rather side with the truth. They would rather side with the birds that are being oppressed, and they stand for justice. And you can see quite a number of them, starting with Iron Lady and so on. And that quest for justice is pushed on and on. They keep pushing, and until finally we have a little bird called Oyundi, and Oyundi is able to just through her own ways and through the wisdom of the hare, that is Ogila, he's Nyakarondo, she's able to find her way into getting to know the secrets and the things that are going on into the royal trees. The royal trees is more of the palace, and we call it the state house, yeah, where the president and the king and all the leadership stays. And she's able to penetrate that and be able to get information on what's the secrets going on. And at some point, she's able to befriend them and let them know that I'm with you. But at the back of her mind, there is something they are planning. They are planning, an overturning of things. And at the end of the text, we see a situation where the government is changed, and it's no longer a parliament of owls, but a flock of birds, which is a more inclusive form of leadership, where all the birds, the day birds and the night birds, they are all included there. But of course, along the way, we have sacrifices. We have like people like Aramtidi, who is who is a hornbill, and was working for Moneybags and the Red String, and was working against was used to pass on propaganda and wrong information. But now, unfortunately, at some point he was killed, and the killing of Aramtidi was very, very painful, even to the birds and so on. And really, just those things talking about political assassinations and blackmail and betrayal that goes on and all that. And so this is a very interesting book, a really very practical and relatable book. I want to encourage you to have a look at it and to have the right attitude. I know some of us are struggling with an attitude towards it. It's not worth it. Just embrace this book, because if actually you look at our Kenyan situation, this really it's exactly what is going on. And so I will stop that for now, because I want us to move into Act 1 and be able to look at what happens in Act 1 and just highlight on the themes. I may not even go into the details of act by act, step by step, but I just want to highlight the synopsis and then look at a few themes and the few characters that are involved. So welcome to the next video as you look at Act 1. In the meantime, that is the synopsis, that is the cover, that is the title of the Parliament of Owls. See you in the next one.